Welcome to the Child Care Workforce Support Series, Module 3, Interviewing and Selecting the Right Candidate, presented by Texas Health and Human Services, Child Care Regulation, and Civitas. This is Module 3 of 8 in this series. In this module, we will cover how to review applications, how to conduct interviews, how to check references, and how to extend an offer of employment.
First up, we're going to discuss assessing resumes and screening your candidates. Your application review process starts even before anyone applies, as a successful search begins with the application. Spend time in this initial stage tailoring to solicit what you're actually looking for. Be as clear as possible about expectations, needs, and any business preferences that you may have. If you have additional questions about recruitment, we recommend revisiting Module 1 in this series. We suggest using a scorecard to aid in reviewing the candidate applications as they begin to come in. This scorecard takes the essential qualifications, skills, and your business needs and becomes a tool for you to prioritize applicants. Since it comes directly from the job description and announcement, it takes the guesswork and assumption out of the process. Ideally, each criteria on your scorecard is weighted based on the most important things you're looking for in an ideal candidate, so scoring your applications on your scorecard allows you to triage for the next stage of the process. Reviewing applications can be more of an art than a science. While you want to be diligent in your review system, you also want to balance your needs and desire for the ideal candidate with keeping an open mind regarding backgrounds or qualities that don't match the usual path. In addition, you don't want to see any red flags, even in this competitive market. Finally, you can add an application screening into your process to help narrow down a candidate pool, provide some additional information to help separate applicants that seem similar on paper, or help answer any questions that you have from the application packet that you received. In this way, initiating screening conversations over the phone or by virtual means can save time overall and increase the information available to you to make a decision. Be sure to schedule these if possible to allow the candidate to prepare and be ready for a conversation with you. Now that you have a group of top candidates, we can move on to interviewing them. Set up interviews with these applicants and be sure to confirm dates and times along with any helpful information. Schedule yourself so that you have adequate time before the interview to prepare for the conversation and enough time afterward to capture your thoughts on the candidate. Have your interview questions ready. Each candidate should be asked the same questions, so it's helpful to have a prepared interview question form to keep you on track. Plan to use behavior-based questions, asking the applicant to give you an example from their own experiences or background. These questions can parallel the qualities or circumstances that you have in your business. Utilize behavioral questions that especially focus on how the candidate manages stress or competing priorities. For example, tell me about a time you almost lost your temper with a child. What did you do? Or, how do you handle a situation where you have 3 children needing different things and you're by yourself? Questions like this avoid a simple yes or no response and provide you with additional insight into the candidate's experience, temperament, and decision making. Be as clear as possible in the interview about your business needs, expectations, valued skills, and what sets you apart. This is a time for the candidate to tell you about themselves, but also for you to tell the candidate about your business. Consider non-traditional approaches to the interview time, such as a role play covering parent communication or submitting a sample lesson plan. We've gathered a few top tips to support you in conducting interviews. For example, do create a comfortable environment for the candidate. Beyond being a courtesy, this will be the best way to get to know your interviewee. Similarly, don't ask personal or discriminatory questions. Do be thoughtful about your questions ahead of time and keep them focused on job-related information. And Do ask follow-up questions to get any additional information if necessary. You want to lead the conversation and make the candidate feel comfortable, but don't dominate the discussion or talk over the interviewee. Then close the interview, giving the candidate clear next steps, but don't make any promises, even if you feel great about the interview. Conducting reference checks helps mitigate legal risks associated with hiring. They are essential, even if you know the person you plan to hire. First, get professional reference information from the candidate, including contact information, but also the nature of their relationship. Reach out to those references with clear information about why you are contacting them, what you need, and by when. You can do this by email first, and then phone if that is what works best for you. Ask these professional contacts about information that may not be apparent on a resume or that come up in an interview. It's a good idea to cover things like the candidate's timeliness, attendance, attitude, and flexibility. The children in your care thrive on relationships and routine, so you don't want to hire anyone who has a history of missing work regularly. You also want to hire a candidate who can adjust as needed and is creative in problem solving and meeting day-to-day challenges, someone who remains positive and patient as a team member no matter what comes up. To help you navigate reference checks as you make future hiring decisions, we put together information on both conducting reference checks and interviews for you. You also need to conduct a background check on each prospective employee. Let's hear from Health and Human Services about those requirements now.
Now, what do background checks consist of? There are 6 types of background checks that the Texas Health and Human Service Commission is authorized to perform. First, we have Texas Criminal History Check, a fingerprint-based search of the Texas Department of Public Safety database of crimes committed in Texas, including sex offender registration. The National Criminal History Check, a fingerprint-based search of the FBI database of crimes committed within the United States, including national sex offender registration. The Texas Central Registry Check, a search of the Central Registry of reported cases of child abuse and neglect in Texas. The Central Registry is maintained by the Texas Department of Family and Protective Service and identifies people who have been found by Child Protective Investigations, Adult Protective Services, or Child Care Investigations to have abused, neglected, or exploited victims under the age of 18. The Out-of-State Abuse Neglect History Check, a search of another state's or territory's records of reported child abuse and neglect cases that identifies people who have been found to have abused or neglected a child. Out-of-State Criminal History Check, a search of another state's or territory's database of crimes committed in another state or territory and dispositions. And finally, the Out-of-State Sex Offender Registry, a search of another state or territory's sex offender registry. The out-of-state background checks are required for persons that have resided in another U.S. state or territory in the previous 5 years. For more information, see the CCR section on background checks available on the hhs.texas.gov website. You must receive a notice stating the person is eligible, provisionally eligible, or eligible with conditions before allowing an individual to be present at the operation. This includes the director, owner, or operator of an operation, including a sole proprietor, a partner in a partnership, or chief executive officer of an operation. Each employee of the operation that works at the operation's location, each prospective employee of the operation, each person 14 years of age or older, including a contract employee, a self-employed person, or volunteer who is counted in the child caregiver ratio in accordance with the relevant minimum standards, unless the person is a parent or volunteer only supplementing the child caregiver ratio for a field trip or water activity. has unsupervised access to children in care, or provides direct care or supervision to children in care. All background checks must be submitted through your Child Care Regulation account. When CCR completes a background check on someone, we ask for that person's Social Security number to verify the identity, as well as at least one other identification number. It is your responsibility to view these documents and verify the accuracy of what you are entering. There are additional tutorial videos for background check submission available online on our website. To help your staff understand the background check process, see Child Care Regulations Guide to Understanding Your Background Check, also available on our website at hhs.texas.gov.
In conclusion, hiring is among the most important decisions you'll make for your business. As you are selecting your final candidate, consider all the information you've collected in your process, from their qualifications, training, interview presence, behavioral qualities, even soft skills. When you've made a decision about a finalist, make sure you have the necessary information organized and available for them when you're ready to offer them a job. No doubt they'll have questions about wages, benefits, the start date, and more. You set the tone in this initial conversation about expectations and support as a new employee. And finally, following up with candidates who were not selected for a position, particularly those who were interviewed, is a professional courtesy that should not be overlooked. A simple note or an email to those candidates you will not be hiring will go a long way in maintaining your business's reputation and potentially be beneficial in the future.
For more details about the information presented in this module, please visit our website, www.childcare.texas.gov. There you will find helpful guides including how to review resumes, tips for conducting an interview, including sample interview questions and those that you'll want to stay away from, how to check references, and how to extend an offer. We also include links to more information from Health and Human Services about your required background checks. The next module in this series will feature information on how to set your new employee up for success, including how to onboard them successfully and what required trainings your new staff may need to complete. As always, find this video series and associated guides on childcare.texas.gov.